What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for May 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. I'm going to start the show a little different than what I normally do. And since it is a Feel Good Friday, I'm going to share a feel good story. Don't know if this is going to be a regular thing or not, but I have to share a proud dad moment here. And of course, I missed it volunteering for the Philly Youth Basketball Center and had a meeting for the big sneaker ball next week. So, of course, I missed it. However, my son, I've talked about his Little League games before and how just intense it is with keeping track of pitch counts and everything like that. Well, their team, I guess whatever it is with the travel and pitch counts and everything, so their team is kind of short pitchers. And my son, ever since last year in fall ball, has wanted to pitch, worked somewhat with it, but never really took it that serious. Fast forward to this year, Monday, we've been working on it all season actually, but Monday I get a text from his coach, hey man, we got 2 games this week. With the way the travel is, I'm probably going to need Thatcher to pitch one or both days. Is he up for it? I was like, absolutely. So I told him that, and the joy in his eyes, like, oh my God, my team needs me, which was pretty cool. But I was like, we got to work on it this week, kind of set up a pitch count sort of program. I didn't want to burn his arm out. But obviously he needed some work. So we worked hard all week, and it got better as the week progressed. He's one of those kids who wants to throw the strikeout, trying to throw as hard as he can. Think Ricky Vaughn from Major League. And, of course, my fence is dented. Like, it's all good, though. So it was like, just throw the ball. Let let the batters hit it. Let your fielders take care of the work, because he's very accurate when he slows it down. So yesterday, they're playing one of the better teams. They're getting blown out. Gets inserted to be a pitcher. Crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. 2 innings pitched, walked 3, struck out 1, did not give up a run, and was kind of dialed it back a little bit. Fielders made some nice plays for him. So I definitely couldn't be prouder. And if anybody out there has more than one kid, the personalities could not be, they're night and day. And with my daughter, things come naturally to her. She wants to work hard, practice things. She's already asking for like workout routines and wants to start lifting weights at 8 years old. And I'm like, slow your roll. But my son, very into video games. And if I let him, he would just sit down there, play video games, watch YouTube videos about people playing video games and not do anything. So to see him really kind of get that itch and that bug was really cool. And then to go out and actually be successful, and just like I couldn't pump it up more to him, that just the life lesson there, that if you want something, work hard and go get it. I know we usually do that on Tuesdays, but I could not be more proud. I absolutely love it. Couldn't be happier. I was a nervous wreck sitting in this meeting with the volunteers, checking my phone, waiting for updates from my wife. But to see him go out there and crush it. So I wanted to share that with you. It's not necessarily Philly sports related. It's way personal to me anyway. But like I said, I do think there's a lesson in there. Like, it's something he really wanted. He would come home from school every day this week. Are we going to pitch today, Dad? Are we going to pitch today? He went over and hung out with his buddy on Wednesday and made sure that we got the pitches in on Wednesday night before bed. So just couldn't be happier. Proud dad moment there. Sorry to take up 4 minutes of your time here, but I had to get that out because I am very, very proud of just the hard work and just sort of the focus and the dedication on it. And it paid off. All right, so let's get into this. We got a big show here on a Feel Good Friday. Let's start with the Phils. Bad loss. I hate to say it, but that was a bad loss. They did take the series, yeah, but just a lot of things in this, and I can't put it on Taiwan. Taiwan went 5 2/3, gave up 4 runs, but only one of them was earned, and the defense let him down once again. Bryce Harper catches, didn't Bill Buckner the ball. That triple doesn't happen. Maybe it's a double play. Maybe a run doesn't score. You never know. So the defense let him down. I got to question Topper, his decision to pull the infield in. You got a 1-run lead. You're playing the Nationals, who have the worst bullpen in the league, and you're pulling the infield in instead of conceding the run and taking the out. He did it twice, and it ended up costing them. So maybe I'm hyper-focused right now on Rob Thompson, but you can't do that. But Bryce having the error just is not good. Nobody else really did much and went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And poor Taiwan, for all of the struggles he had last year, has not pitched bad this year whatsoever. I mean, for being the number 5 starter, if that's the kind of production you're going to get out of him, you'll take that every time. But the defense is flat out letting him down. And I think we might have a Bryce Harper problem. I don't know what's going on with him. Had a horrible, horrible month of April. And now it's impacting what he's doing in the field. I'm nervous. I feel like they are where they are right now in the standings through smoke and mirrors. Hopefully they can turn it around. But, man, not very, like I said, bad loss. You can't lose to the Nationals like that, especially when Taiwan did not pitch bad. You're just defensively, you let him down. But help hopefully is on the horizon. Ranger Suarez will be back in the rotation on Sunday. He was asked if he would be open to going to the bullpen, and he gave the politically correct answer. But I was listening to the Phillies pregame show on the way to that meeting, and Devin Caney was there during the interview and said his face kind of was like, You could tell he wasn't a big fan of it, especially in a contract year. So we'll see what happens with that. And then you got to run the risk of going with a 6-man rotation. Then you messes up Zach Wheeler. So lots of decisions here that the Phillies need to make. I guess it's a good problem to have when you have too much starting pitching. So we'll see how that plays out. But tonight they're in action against the Diamondbacks. Tough weekend series against their Achilles heel. Jesus Luzardo's on the mound tonight. Hopefully they can bounce back. But that does lead to today's question of the day. Should we be concerned with Bryce Harper right now? And yes, he's been in slumps before, but he's not looked good at all. And yes, he's trying to work through it, but is there more than meets the eye with Bryce Harper? Should we be concerned? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. One quick Philly sports history note about this game. In a pregame ceremony, everybody was talking about it. They must be listening, but it was the anniversary of the first ever Phillies game. So they retired Ed Delhonte, Billy Hamilton, and Sam Thompson's numbers, so to speak. They're from the early days of the Phillies, back when they didn't wear numbers. So they just put the old school style P's up in Ashburn Alley with their names. But all three are Hall of Famers. All three were outfielders, and all three hit 400 in the 1895 season. It's never ever been done before. So kudos and shout out to the Phillies for recognizing 3 Hall of Famers to go along with Grover Cleveland. And the other guy is slipping me who didn't have a number, but they're Grover Cleveland Alexander. Grover Cleveland was president. So shout out to them. 3 more names added to Ashburn Alley. 3 Hall of Famers, 3 of the all-time greats in Phillies history. All right, let's do some housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. I'll get it out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. I think I already said that, though. But either way, and if you want to see highlights, clippings, photos, things like that about what we're talking about on this day, go to all my social media, including my Facebook and LinkedIn. Lots of good conversations happening on Facebook. Eventually want to try to move that over into like a Discord channel. So stay tuned for that as we go. Of course, today is Fridays with AI. Have a very fun one today concerning Mike Schmidt. We talked a lot about Schmidt throughout April, so I figured why not continue the ball with Mike Schmidt today with Fridays with AI. We will add another song to our Philly Sports Summer playlist. We added In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. If you went on my social media, I posted a couple clips of Chooch with a little clip of that song. However, due to copyright things, I'm not able to put that on YouTube. So if you want to get see some Chooch highlights, go to my social media. We'll have more highlights today as we release this song. And a quick update from yesterday. We talked about that first Phillies game happening at Recreation Park, 24th and Cecil B. Moore, 24th and Ridge, depending on which direction you were coming. And I mentioned that the A's had a ballpark right in the same area. That was actually 6 blocks away at 29th and Cecil B. Moore, a little bit further west of where the Phillies stadium was. And if you ever, I used to play softball there all the time, the Edgeley Fields, that's basically essentially across the street from where this stadium was. So, like I said, I always like to give you the facts and everything. So, there you have it. All right, let's do our Tankathon simulations for today, as Monday is the NHL Draft Lottery, and we'll find out where the Flyers will pick. Ran the simulation. They dropped to the 5th spot. Again, no harm, no foul. Top 5 pick in the NHL Draft is nothing to sneeze at. But it was a good day for the Sixers. We ran the simulation, and Cooper Flagg is coming to Philly. Yes, the Sixers got the number 1 pick. So we'll continue to run them both until we get to the actual lotteries. But the Flyers dropped to the 5th spot today in our Tankathon simulation, and the Sixers did get Cooper Flagg. That would be a huge get for the Sixers. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening with their sports fan network. If you haven't watched any of the podcasts, they're entertaining. They're fun. Just a group of guys just shooting the shit. So go check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to clashingconferences.com to figure out and see what they have to offer and how you can get involved. Great things happening with them. We'll have more announcements concerning the Clashing Conferences hopefully later this month, working on some things with them, so stay tuned for that. And then go to Philly Goat. They got Mother's Day covered. They got Father's Day covered. If you like the Mr. Sandman's Gym from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out shirt that I'm wearing today, that too is Philly Goat. But go, like I said, go just check out what their site. Take 10-15 minutes, scroll through their site, and you'll be happy with what you see. Get ready for the lotteries. They have the Philadelphia Quakers shirt. If you're a longtime listener here, you know we introduced Ryan and Philly Goat to the Philadelphia Quakers. But go, they have you covered. Anything you can imagine Philly sports apparel related, they got you covered. And then when you check out, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Go get mom some Philly Goat. My mom has quite a few at her request, by the way. So I'm telling you, your mom's going to like it, so go check it out. But my mom has quite a few Philly Goat things in her wardrobe. All right, before we get into anything else today, a little bit of a bonus. We're talking about playlists. This song's not going to be on your playlist, but on this day, the United States Copyright Office received the lyrics to the song Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And why are we talking about this here? Well, first of all, it's probably one of the top 3 most recognizable songs in the country, behind the Star Spangled Banner and Happy Birthday. Everybody knows Take Me Out to the Ball Game. But the lyrics were written by Philly-born Jack Norworth. The music was composed by Albert von Tilsner. But Jack Norworth wrote the lyrics, a Philly guy who was a singer of the era, was inspired by an ad he saw in the New York Times to go to Ebbets Field to see the Dodgers play. But happy birthday to Take Me Out to the Ball Game, as the copyright was filed for the lyrics on this day back in 1908. All right, so since we're on the music kick, let's get our next song on our Philly Sports Summer playlist. Yesterday, I told you we did Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, Chooch's walk-up song for years, which led us to the question, who's the best catcher in Phillies history? So let's recap the question of the day before I release the song for the playlist. All over the place yesterday. 46% of you, though, did say it was Darren Dalton. Lots of people, women my age or older, voted in this one and said Dutch. I don't know how much of that had to do with actual playing on the field, but we'll kind of keep it PG here. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. I don't think it's Dutch, and it wasn't all ladies that voted for Dutch. I have to go Chooch, and here's my rationale behind it. I think you can make the argument for Chooch, Boone, JT, or Dutch as the top 4 catchers in Phillies history. I think because they're so close, I think you got to take JT out of there because he hasn't won. He's very inconsistent at the plate, especially now later in his career. So we'll get rid of JT on it. And then Darren Daulton, for the most part, had like a 3-year good stretch with the Phillies. Like his 92 season might be the best season in the history of Philly sports as for a catcher. But I think the fact that he only really had 2 or 3 really good years and didn't win a title, you need to take him out. So that leaves Chooch and Boone. And both of them won a title. Both of them were great defensively. I'm giving the nod to Chooch. I think because he was slightly better offensively than what Bob Boone was. But, I mean, you can't go wrong. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day, though. Today, should we be concerned with Bryce Harper? Let me know your thoughts on that. All right, so back to the playlist. Today, and again, the music, it's just... Music and sports are really intertwined. I mean, you got guys with the walk-up songs. You got athletes wanting to be rappers, rappers wanting to be athletes. So there's very much intertwined here. But today's song, and I told you this is going to be all over the place, is For Those About to Rock, We Salute You by AC/DC. One of my all-time favorite songs, one of my all-time favorite pump-up songs. For Those About to Rock reached number 4 on the Billboard Mainstream Rock album back in, I believe it was 1981. The album For Those About to Rock did reach number 1 on the Billboard Top 200. But this Philly sports connection here is the Eagles came out to this song for years. They did it some at the Vet. They kind of rotated it, but for years at the Link, this is the song that the Eagles, as they're walking out of the locker room, down the tunnel, they started the light show, allowing people to kind of line up to see. It's a great atmosphere, and once they come out and you hit the fire with the fireworks, it's a great song, great atmosphere. Whenever you hear the guitars start coming in, it's like you start rocking back and forth, getting pumped up, seeing the guys come out. Like, it's just, if you haven't seen it, look on YouTube and watch them sort of come out to For Those About to Rock. They've switched the song over the past couple of years to Lil Uzi Vert. But For Those About to Rock by AC/DC is today's summertime playlist. So add it if you're creating this at home. I will share it out on Spotify once we finish creating, but it's a great pump-up song for sports, great pump-up song for the summer, and it always takes me back to those Eagles days and just getting, I'm getting pumped up just thinking about it. But For Those About to Rock, We Salute You from AC/DC is today's Philly Sports Summertime Playlist song. All right, today, I told you we got a big show today. We're going to go back to 1989. And on this day in 1989, the Phillies were blown out by the Astros 12-4 at the Vet. Mike Schmidt had a good day, though. Went 2 for 3 with a 2-run first-inning homer, 3 RBI. But that was the extent of the offense that day for the Phillies, as they just couldn't do it. Floyd Yeomans and Alex Madrid each gave up 5 runs. Didn't last more than an inning or 2 each. Just a brutal day, as was the case with those Phillies teams back in the late 80s. But the story was, unbeknownst to all of us and anybody at the Vet, that would be the last home run of Mike Schmidt's legendary career. That was home run number 548. He would finish out the month of May only amassing 5 more hits before retiring May 29th, Memorial Day weekend, out in San Diego before the game. And again, what can I say about Mike Schmidt that I haven't already said? I have his autograph picture right there to my left. All-time favorite player, and just a great career. But on this day in 1989, Mike Schmidt hit his final home run at home in a 12-4 loss to the Astros off Jim DeShays, who should have probably looked this up, but I feel like he may have pitched at one point for the Phillies in his career. But it was all over. The last home run of Mike Schmidt's career happened on this day in 1989 at the Vet.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. I teased it. It is time for Fridays with AI. So, keeping with the Mike Schmidt theme, April was a good month for Mike Schmidt. We talked about his 4 home run game, setting the record for most home runs in the month. Ended his career 548 home runs, 12-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, 6-time Silver Slugger, World Series champion, won the MVP of the 80 World Series, 3-time National League MVP, but played his home games at the Vet, which was one of those cookie-cutter stadiums that came up in the 70s, Three Rivers, Riverfront, I believe the old Busch Stadium. They were all pretty much the same stadium. Shea Stadium, I believe, was one of them as well. Not necessarily hitter-friendly, and I did some research on this because it got me, I was thinking about it, and it was more considered a hitter-neutral or slightly a pitcher's park. So not necessarily a home run paradise like some of these new stadiums that we've seen popping up. So I was thinking, what if Mike Schmidt didn't play his home games at the Vet, but played his home games at Citizens Bank Park? I've heard him talk about this on broadcasts. I heard other people talk about it. So that's what I asked AI. I said, AI, what if Mike Schmidt played his home games at Citizens Bank Park instead of the Vet? How many more home runs would he have hit? Well, here's what AI had to say about that. Mike Schmidt hit 299 home runs at the Vet. Citizens Bank Park obviously is way more hitter-friendly. AI projected more with the dimensions of Citizens Bank Park versus Mike Schmidt's career. Like, it was very scientific what they broke it down. But basically a 15 to 20% increase in home runs, meaning he probably would have gotten that total to 340, 360, maybe 370 at Citizens Bank Park, which means he certainly would have had a legitimate shot at 600. They projected between 595 and 610 home runs, and that was like more on a conservative side. And then it took a deep dive into, could he have gotten to 650? Could he have challenged Willie Mays 660? I believe 661 Willie Mays has now. Because it took in other things into account then. Like, just if you take his career from 1972 to, or I guess 1971, he came up late, 71 to 89, he would have gotten to 600 likely, probably around 610, 615. But playing on the grass at Citizens Bank Park likely would have saved his knees and his back and maybe, just maybe, extended his career. I mean, he had bad knees coming out of Ohio, but maybe he could have played another extra 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. They also broke it down that Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies tend to play a lot more day games at Citizens Bank Park than they played at the Vet during Mike Schmidt's career. Mike Schmidt was great in day games, so there was a legitimate shot. Mike Schmidt could have gotten to 650 home runs. He likely would have gotten to the 50 mark each year from 79 to 81 playing at Citizens Bank Park. For his RBIs, he would have been sniffing 2,000 RBIs. Probably would have won at least one more, maybe 2 more MVPs. It probably wouldn't have impacted his Gold Gloves that much. But most importantly, Mike Schmidt's numbers would have been greater. He'd had close to 2,000 RBIs, between 620, let's say, and 650 home runs playing at Citizens Bank Park. But what does it mean for the team? Well, the biggest takeaway is the 1980 postseason run would not have been as stressful as it was. That they had to have a walk-off in, or it went down to the end in the 80 NLCS. So it probably wouldn't have been stressful. Maybe it would have been more fun for our dads and grandfathers to watch that team. But it did say they probably would have won one of the pennants. Like, maybe not against the Big Red Machine, but one of those games against or series against the Dodgers in either 77 or 78, they likely would have gone to the World Series. Probably wouldn't have beat the Yankees, but they did say they would have gotten there. They would have had a much better chance in 1981, which was a strike year, and could have turned that series against Baltimore around. It was a very low-scoring series, that 1983 World Series, but at Citizens Bank Park, Mike Schmidt likely would have had better numbers. But then it was all over. They said it wouldn't have changed the fact that the team was terrible from 1984 to 1989. So in summary, Mike Schmidt would have gotten to 600 home runs, maybe even 650 if he played at Citizens Bank Park. 1,900 to 2,000 RBIs. It would have extended his career because the turf wouldn't have been so hard on his knees. They probably would have won at least one more pennant, maybe another World Series title. But more importantly, more playoff success means Mike Schmidt is considered a top 10 and in consideration for a top 5 player of all time, just not the greatest third baseman. So if you ever wondered what would have happened if Mike Schmidt played at Citizens Bank Park, a lot more home runs, maybe another World Series. So that was Fridays with AI. What if Mike Schmidt played his home games at Citizens Bank Park? And I promise we're kind of done with Mike Schmidt for a while. We talked a lot about him in April. We talked about him today as he hit his final home run on this day in 1989. Be sure you're adding, for those about to rock, We Salute You by AC/DC to your Philly Sports Summertime playlist. We're kind of all over the place. Wait till you see what we got in store this weekend as we continue to grow our playlist for the summer. Let me know, though, do we have a Bryce Harper problem here in Philly? I think we got to start considering it. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he's in his head. Or even worse, maybe the years of his violent swing and just hardcore playing is starting to catch up with him. I hope that's not the case, but I think it's at the point now, a month into the season, we at least need to consider it. So let me know your thoughts. Do we have a Bryce Harper problem here in Philadelphia? Happy birthday to the Take Me Out to the Ball Game. On this day, the United States Copyright Office received the copyright for the lyrics written by Jack Norwalt, who is a Philly-born singer and actor. Jack Norworth from Philadelphia wrote the songs to one of the top 3 most recognizable songs in the United States. Lots of music going on today. We will have another Tankathon simulation tomorrow. We'll add to our Philly Sports Summertime playlist and then recap Game 1 of the Dodgerbacks, the Diamondbacks, and the Phillies all on tomorrow's episode. But it's going to be an 85-degree today. Get out. Go enjoy. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for May 2nd, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.